Okay, let's do another video. Just move the camera. I can never get the camera right. Here we go. So, as you saw by the title, healing is not fitting into profoundly sick society. Sick because it's divided between matter and spirit. The inner and outer are not together. That's why it's sick. But rather, healing is at least once in your life leaving the society for long enough until you focus inwards, you incubate, and you recover, you directly experience the spirit, the soul, the divine part, and then integrate that into our everyday life. Every real healer that has come in the past, whether Jesus, I will tell you the story in a moment, or Buddha, Jung had to do it, every single one, Al-Halaj, Rumi, all the mystic poets, really, they did exactly that. They removed themselves from the harmful effects of society, because society divides you. Your attention is always flowing outward rather than in to where you have to look. If you want to know, if you want to be able to heal others, you can't just really, you can read about it and you understand it with your head. But when you have experienced and you have come back and you have returned and you have integrated that into your everyday life, when someone comes to you to help them to heal them, you know what to do, you know how to recover, you know how to reconnect, make that reconnection between that person and the spirit. Actually, very often this happens during a session, and I'll read you a few examples of this from a friend of mine. She's a psychotherapist, a Jungian. What happens? Well, she is in a session with a client. But first, I'll read you what I wrote a few years ago regarding this. As always, I'll leave all this in the description box in the video. So, the real healers are not concerned with the modern, dissociated from the soul, on the surface only healing. The so-called mainstream psychology of fitting into a society, predator-prey values, or with famous gurus spoon-feeding you with ready-made answers. That's not it. Right? So attention needs to flow inward, not out. But rather, true healers are there not to teach, but to heal, to inspire and show timeless, practical ways of accessing our own inward resources, creating a living dialogue with the inner voice that opens us inwards and backwards for a reunion with our own healer and teacher, the invisible depth of your divine part, the soul, and are concerned with incubation and dreams and ecstasy. A world of magicians who spoke in poetry and oracles and riddles, who use incantations to enter other states of consciousness. That's the healing part. The healing part is not talking about healing, or if you go to a mainstream psychologist trying to make you feel good or helping you to fit into society. It takes you further away from what you have to experience for the real healing to take place. The real healing is not only re-establishing contact with the spirit, with the soul, but then eventually finding out that you are that divine part, and then keeping in touch with that on a regular basis. You're healing the split, call it psychosis, the split between you as the ego and the spirit. The two become one. Actually, the two become one. You become that spirit. You know what I'm saying? And then whatever you write, for instance, when I write or others write, certainly when the mystics write, mystic poets write, they speak often as a voice of that spirit, of that divinity. they not only communicate for the spirit, but they actually speak as the voice of that spirit. So that's the healing, yeah? Real healers are concerned with spiritual rebirth, being born out of a particular society and its enforced tradition, your biography, and born into identity with the secret single intelligence in you, in nature, in our living earth, the entire universe, the living, breathing, interconnecting web of soul that is everything, including you. Which, for those rare few not lost amongst the pool of the masses, always was and is their very own unique teacher and healer. So you've got your own inner healer within you. That's what you're trying to reconnect with. The person that is actually helping you to do this, helping as a healer, as a psychologist, that's their job. Their job is not to heal you, but to reconnect you with that inner healer that creates the healing for you. That's the healing part. Yeah? Okay, so we've got a quote by Peter Kingsley. But you can, before you can really heal anyone, you first have to know what men and women are in the deepest nature. Exactly. What human beings are from the beginning, not just how they react to this or that condition. That's it. It's not just about reacting about this and that condition. Trying to fit into getting a better job or another lover or being more confident or whatnot, whatever it is that you think that you need to be healed. But to reconnect, to find that inner center and reconnect with that and then do some creative work. I work with symbols, I write, I used to write poetry, essays, books, I've written books, there's a third one on the way. Painting, anything that you can do creatively will reconnect you to that deeper dimension of yourself. To that, without this, it's very difficult to reconnect unless your intuition is already reactivated. Then in your own environment, everyday environment will be talking to you through intuition. Well, you're driving home and something might pop up that gets your attention, or you're listening to the radio or TV, or you read it somewhere. Social media is full of these things when you scroll and something gets your attention. But you've got to be careful, because a lot of this is actually reactions and unresolved compulsions and instincts. Remember me talking about instincts, the three things that are ego, the things that hold us back from our inner work, from our inner dimension, the deeper dimension. So you're hoarding, sex or reproduction and power. So if you don't manage to overcome this, so these three, it's very difficult to look inward, to reconnect, to focus, to incubate, because these three things, these three instincts hold you back. Your body needs attention all the time. It holds you back in society. Yeah. Okay, so I'll read you a few bits and bobs now from a friend of mine. She is a psychotherapist, a Jungian. Okay, so this is what she says. Yes, usually, frequently, unbidden. I'm with a client and lost in the connection, unsure of which way to go. Yeah. And then something somehow miraculously occurs and I'm not me anymore. The light fades, a new light appears, and suddenly we are connected, beyond time, space at all. And that's when the real healing happens, and it isn't me at all. Her name is Elise. I'm not going to give you her surname, but her name is Elise. That's exactly right. When I work with people, even through the internet, well, I'm talking to you right now, through video, and we are live, we're there, we're talking to each other, things happen. Just by even providing a safe space for someone to talk about things that, in our society are not valued, not important, and these people feel like they can't talk, what do we got? The people feel like they can't talk about the deep things of the soul. Just by providing that environment is the beginning of healing. So when you go deeper, when the trust builds, and someone begins to trust you, and they begin to bring the more important dreams, and you know, they feel that it's safe for them to communicate with you what they've experienced, that you're not going to laugh, that you take this seriously, something else takes over eventually. Because the healing, like I said, the healing is not so much you doing the work, but reconnecting with the soul, with the spirit, and then or the unconscious, if you like, and then it takes over. And then you have to pay attention to dreams and visions and intuitions, creative work, and it will start to work with you. You're not alone. Even when there's the two of you, with you and a client, the third one that mediates and starts to build a bridge between the two of you and starts to heal, starts to help you, how to help the client, is the unconscious. I've experienced this every time. Yeah, so this is what Elise is saying. It's not me at all. Something else takes over. Jung did it. Do you remember? Do you remember why Jung had to go away and study alchemy and bury himself in books and walk away from society? Was it, I think, 10 years? Wasn't it 10 years? Because he said at the beginning, if you read his Memories, Dreams, Reflections, he had to do it for his clients. He had to experience and reintegrate himself into the soul, into the spirit, have that center and connection to it before he was able to help others to do the same. So you can't go to someone who hasn't done this and only has, book knowledge about it. How are they going to help you to reconnect if they haven't done it themselves? Might happen because you have already reconnected yourself. Or you have made some sort of connection, and it just grows because you trust the process. But if they haven't done it themselves, it's very, very difficult to teach others how to do it. Yeah? So I'll read you one more thing from Elise. Yeah. A client in distress comes for the first session. I am a nice person. Why am I so angry? Because every one of us have a dark shadow. Depth psychology is difficult because we begin to unpack who we really are. That's right. And we are not nice people. We have a dark side. When we teach, when we reach the point of confronting and welcoming our shadow, we might move forward. As Jung once said, the gold is within the shadow. This is the real journey of depth psychology, psychotherapy. The welcoming of all the dark within us and the finding out of truest light. Complexes. This deals more person to person with the client, deals more with their own personal complexes. But collectively speaking, the shadow, the collective shadow of humanity is the spirit, knowing our divine part. This is the collective shadow. This is the work of the recovery of the soul. So once you start working with a client, once you start working with or helping someone, because that's what the video is about, how to help people, you have to understand, like Peter Kingsley said in the first quote that I read you, you have to understand who we really are at the deepest level, that there is this spirit, that there's this soul, this divine, the God part in us. And then you work towards reconnecting with that. And once the reconnection is made, then that part, this unconscious, if you like, the self, the inner self, starts to do the healing, starts to work with you and with the client to heal the person. The healing is reconnecting the two, the matter and the spirit as one. Yeah? Remember me just saying at the beginning of the video that all healers, true healers, had to do this? Jesus, Buddha, and so on. Well, Jesus, he only began his teaching or healing career after he came back from his time in the desert. When he went into the desert, he first came to John the Baptist, who baptized him in the Jordan River and so on. We all know the story. But he went past the Baptist. He didn't find what he was looking for in there, you could say. And he went past it to his own inner work, into the desert. He went inwards. Desert being outside the society, that is to say inwards, and there he fought like Buddha fought with the basic instincts, the animal instincts, with the devil. He overcame that, and he had his own experiences, his own mystic experience. He saw what he saw, and then he came back to society and started teaching and healing. That's really important. Same with the Buddha. He didn't do healing like all the gurus out there before he had his own experience. First, he didn't find what he was looking for amongst all the gurus in the forest. Remember the story? So he went again, like Jesus, went to his own inner experiences, incubation. Found the Bodhi tree, sat under the Bodhi tree, that's the center, until all these outside attention-seeking, body needing of the body to survive, instincts fell away, and that's when he had his own experience. His third eye opened up. He went in to that deeper dimension, the archetypal dimension, and that's where he saw his own life beyond lives, his divine part, and the interconnection of everything. Everyone has to go through this. The real healers. We have stories of Hafez or Rumi, they had to go away, isolate, and then something happens. Yeah? Or shamans. There's this famous story, of course, of Black Elk. He was only 9 years old when he had his great vision. Of course, when he came back from that vision, he didn't become a shaman and started helping everyone. But that was the beginning of his ability to help others, because he had his own, he fell through to the unconscious. He saw the interconnection, the oneness of everything. He had made a connection with the spirit, and then later in his life he became the holy man, the healer for his tribe, for his people. He had a message, through him, you could say, through the real healers, the healing comes. There's so many stories when people first met Jung and they sat with Jung in his room, when a client came to see him, as a client they came to see him, and they said the atmosphere was different. There was something different about it. There was something in the room eventually with them. They couldn't tell what it was, but there was a feeling of something already in the room with them while they were working with Jung. His connection to the spirit, to the unconscious, was there. It was in his paintings, it was in his books, in his writings. It was all there, all around him. Like my books, my paintings, are all around this room. This is the room from which, when I'm speaking to someone comes to me to interpret a dream, and they wanted that safe space to talk about things that they can't talk about with their family or society. This is where we do the talking, from here. I'm surrounded with all the connections, my connections to the unconscious. And if you opened up inwards and deeper inwards, in other words, to that archetypal level of the psyche, the level of the spirit that is common to all of humanity, it will eventually reach the other person, even through the video like I'm talking to you now. Many people, I used to do, what should we call it, not workshops, but regular Zoom conferences with a group of people in the US. And the comments were regularly that, even they didn't understand what I was talking about. Sometimes it was just simply, people, it's not quite ready yet, it's too deep. But they felt better for it after the session ended, because they felt energy was reaching them just through the video. You know how everything is interconnected. There's no gaps. There's just one. The soul is like air, or like we are inside this sea of soul. And there are no gaps between you and me. When you're watching me and I'm here, that everything is connected right away. You know, there's there's the interconnectedness. Quantum talks about it. So that's what it is. If someone is open to the deeper dimension of the spirit, of the soul, when you are focused on that person, they actually work like a portal, a door to that dimension through this interconnectedness of us, or air or soul, whatever you want to call it, quantum. And if you're focused enough, you will be touched by that. So this is important to know. That's why I always say, if you are open so much to this deeper dimension, that it flows through you and you're creative, people that are near you, they will be touched by that. And it's important to understand that if they're not ready, it will be frightening to them. They might have dreams, archetypal dreams. They might start to get paranoid. I know people, for instance, from my own experience, working with and a family, I had to walk away because it was too much for them. It was too frightening, not ready yet. So that's important to understand. Spirit jumps, like I was just explaining to you. If you're opened out like that, if you're creative, a poet, or an artist, work with tarot, whatever it is, whatever way it is for you to reconnect with the soul, and you do it on a regular basis, you're intuitive, in other words, you're a portal, you're a door to that dimension, people around you will be touched by that. And if that person is not ready, it's too early, they will start to have big dreams, they might have frightening dreams, and they will think that are frightening dreams, things that are not if the, for instance, person that is very religious or still really stuck in tradition, like the church, Christian, or whatever, these things are going to be too frightening because they go against the narrative of the church, of the scripture. So you have to be careful with that as well. So, you know, for instance, I had to walk away many times because it was just too early for some people. On the other hand, like I said, what have we got? 22. Like I said, if there is a great connection and someone comes to you and they're ready to for this help, for this healing, to open up to the unconscious, and they're not frightened, then the process goes not smoothly, but it begins to roll. And then once you start paying attention to these coincidences, synchronicities and dreams and visions, and the person is open to do some creative work, reading depth psychology, reading mythology, because all this is the same story that is trying to reconnect, that the person is trying to reconnect with the deeper part of themselves, the collective unconscious, then great, then the healing can start to begin to take place. There's the split between the person and the collective unconscious and the spirit can begin to take place. And this is the real healing. Yeah? The real healing is healing the split between you and the deeper part of yourself, the divine part of yourself, the collective unconscious. It is in there that in the collective unconscious, if we read mythology, we have the stories of the recovery of the soul. And that's what you're trying to do. Recover the center, and in the center is the divine part. Yeah? And that divine part called the self. So spirit, eventually, first it might have a different face, but eventually it will have your face. Yeah? And then you keep in touch with that, with one foot in this dimension and the other foot in the other dimension of the spirit. And you're whole. That's what it is. It's not an easy process, but if you're open, it works. Yeah? So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next one. Bye.